An orange sunrise behind mountain peaks. The great northern plains of South Dakota were the traditional homeland of the Oglala Lakota people. Flying over the Badlands. In the mid-1800s, thousands of settlers traveled west on the California, Mormon, and Oregon trails. This migration led to first encounters with the Oglala Lakota people. Title: Oglala Lakota. Early encounters with the westward migration. Historical image of a village of teepees set up along river's edge in the American plains. Voice of Craig Howe, Oglala Lakota tribal elder.
American Indians and therefore Lakotas have been here a long, long time.
Historical image of American Indian man kneeling behind bison skull, holding a ceremonial pipe to the sky.
American Indians have been here in North America 12,700 years. Non-Indians have been here at best in North America 300 and some years. 300 and some versus 12,000 and some.
Historical image of 10 American Indian men in traditional clothing and feathered headdresses, posing for picture. Voice of Carol Iron Rope Herrera, Oglala Lakota tribal elder.
Ocheti Shakoi, Tituan, that's us, the Oglalas. We roamed all over. I think homeland was probably from Minnesota all the way to the Rockies.
Voice of Leonard Littlefinger, Oglala Lakota tribal elder.
The first encounters that existed were encounters that came from Platte River, and this Platte River was right in the area where Fort Laramie had been established.
Historical image of 3 covered wagons pulled by oxen.
I think the first encounters with the white man were people that they'd never seen before. Never had they seen one with light skin. So they were very curious.
Historical images. The first of 4 white men in front of a mud brick shelter holding a pelt, followed by a family portrait-style photo of 2 American Indian women and 3 mixed-race young men in European cowboy dress, standing behind a seated white man in European dress.
I think the thing that differs from later time is that they were more willing to befriend each other, and then in that befriendment there was trade.
Artist's rendering of an American Indian man with his hand raised in a friendly manner, approaching 3 white men seated around a fire.
The friendship was really the origins.
Historical image of 2 American Indians wearing feathered headdresses seated on horseback in an expansive landscape. Voice of Robert Tucrow, Oglala Lakota tribal elder.
They were interested in what was going on. They thought if they just want to go by, we'll let them go by. But when they started coming in numbers, they began to question it.
Historical image of prairie with long lines of wagon trains.
They said, when will that stop? And still asking that question. You know, when will it ever stop?
These immigrants were coming across on these trails down south of here along the Platte River, and they also cut up through the Bighorn Mountains. And so these trails brought all these visitors.
Historical image of 2 white men mining the prairie with high-pressured water. Voice of Virgil Killstraight, Oglala Lakota tribal elder.
Where they dug for gold in the Black Hills. They just were friendly initially. I mean, the Lakota were. And they welcomed originally the white people.
Historical image of mining town built into hills.
As they come in, and more came in, a lot more, into the Black Hills, and they start taking out the gold and all that stuff, that's when they started to have problems with them.
It started like, I guess, a river starts. There's a gentle flow, and then it gets larger, and it gets larger and larger.
Historical image of wagons pulled by oxen on American prairie.
In this part of the country, there's a migratory route of the mainstay of the Teton people, and that's the buffalo.
Video of bison grazing on prairie.
This is where we have these Washichus coming through along like the Oregon Trail, for instance, and the denuding of the landscape by these wagons and by the oxen and by the horses and all the other livestock that are just eating everything in this wide swath.
Historical video of cattle drive. Several cowboys round up cattle into a wire pen.
And then by the men, the hunters with these expeditions or these wagon trains, they're out hunting all of the game within maybe 20 or 30 miles on either side.
Historical image of a white man standing atop a pile of thousands of bison skulls, stacked 5 times taller than the grown man who stands next to them.
They're just killing everything in order to feed themselves. So these are having these negative consequences on Lakota society. And no one tribe was self-sufficient. The whole idea was this integrated network. And so you had trading going on. So Lakotas counted on the buffaloes, and when these wagon trains came in and disrupted the herd, basically you cut the herd in half.
Black and white video of bison grazing in open prairie grass.
And so then Lakotas cannot obtain the resources to trade with these other tribes. So this had disastrous effects on Lakota society.
We had no concept of war. We had territorial fights, yes, but yet at the same time, we could live with one another.
Historical image of 3 American Indians in feathered headdress, riding on horseback in front of the Badlands, followed by a black and white video of 4 riders on horseback with their dog, moving along a ridge with the Badlands stretching to the horizon.
But here was something that was encroaching on the people's use of the land that was there. And so there became a resistance. So to me, the word Red Cloud War would be better addressed as Red Cloud's resistance.
Historical image of Chief Red Cloud standing in traditional dress.
We don't have Lakota words that can translate the English words violations and violence.
Artwork depicting a large battle between American Indians and U.S. soldiers.
Whether we as Lakota people are warlike, savages, or barbaric people, we aren't.
And so history, again, is counter to the perception and the perspective of the Lakota.
Video of clouds casting shadows across the Badlands.
The white man tried to Christianize our people, especially with this Mormon trail that passed through. And the Mormons especially, tried to influence and took many of our children and raised them in Utah as Mormons, but they came home.
Historical image of 3 long-haired American Indian boys in traditional dress, fading to the same boys with hair cut short and wearing Euro-American dress.
The things that we have that are different, that we have to acknowledge and respect, is language. We speak Lakota. It's not just the language we speak, but it's also who we are.
We are no longer nomadic. Our buffalo herds are growing. Our land is still shrinking. We still have our language.
Historical image of 2 American Indian men wearing feathered headdresses, seated in a canoe along river's edge.
We are still here.
We survived all these years, all these centuries and eons. So as long as we believe in the way we do, we will be here for a long time.
Orange sunset backlighting hills. A deer walks downhill, followed by a fawn. Executive producer David Scheerer. Editor Michelle Dobosh. Cinematography Tony Brave. Grip Electric Shields King. Audio Michael Laysbad. Original Lakota music Turtle Island Music Kelly Parker. Logos for Oregon, California, and Mormon Pioneer National Historic Trails. Copyright 2018.